Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of theresellermindset.com. And for this Reseller Friday, I want to talk to you about why you must think bigger so you can get bigger results. I talk to so many resellers, and so many have a very small way of thinking about their reselling business. They just want enough to pay this little bill over here, maybe make a car payment, maybe pay the mortgage, but they don't really care about doing anything more than that. Now, I'm not telling you to get focused on you got to make $100,000 a month or anything like that, because it depends on what your goals are. But many of these people have these low goals not because they couldn't do more, but because they think they can't do more. Because they think, well, this is about the best I could do. I don't know. This is so hard. And of course, it's not hard, but there's all kinds of resellers out there telling you how hard it is. Some of it is to discourage competition, I think, because they're afraid. Some of it is because they want to pat themselves on the back and act like it's so hard. So look at me, I did well, and I must be better than you because I did well in this super hard business, which is not hard at all. It can get hard as you scale up, but that's just simply a choice you make. You don't have to scale up that much. But for most people, they have very low expectations for their business. They're thinking very small, and they're getting small results. Now, how this manifests in actual daily activities in your reselling business is things like this. I see people listing $5 and $6 items. Why? I'm not criticizing you if you have limited inventory right now, but I've been around the country buying inventory and seeing the smallest little nothing towns, and I've got great inventory there. It's pretty much universal in the United States of America and most Western countries. You can find inventory worth way more than $5 or $6. You should not be wasting your time listing that stuff. And here's a fatal flaw that many people get into. They'll say, well, but I got it for free. Who cares? Your time is not free. You shouldn't be wasting your time listing a $5 item when you could be listing a $10 item or a $20 item or a $50 item or a $1,000 item. I get inventory offered to me for cheap, sometimes for free, and I reject it and turn it down because it's not worth listing. Oh, here's a bunch of items that are $1 or $2 each. The only thing I could possibly do with those to make any kind of money and make it make sense is to list them as a bulk lot. But they still have a very slow sell-through rate, and they're just not worth wasting the time with. But when you have low standards, you'll take that kind of stuff. Well, it's free. Yeah, it could be free, and it's not good for you. It's not good for your business. You need to set a standard for what is the lowest I will list at. Now, there can be caveats to that. For example, the $5 item I mentioned, I personally would not list a $5 item because it's not worth my time. But what if I had 100 of those items and I can create one listing and sell all 100 of them individually? And there's going to be money made from the shipping and everything will be profitable. That might be worth doing. But one $5 item? Absolutely not. Now, you might have an item that's been sitting around your store forever and you just discount it down to $5. That's perfectly fine. I'm talking about the initial effort of listing a $5 item is very small thinking, because that same effort could be listing a $100 item. Now, you may say, well, I can't find $100 items. Well, not if you're wasting your time with free items and $5 items. So many people are looking for these little cheap things here and there, and they're looking to get it for the cheapest possible. They don't want to invest $20 into an item that will sell for $100, but they'll take all this free stuff and waste their time listing it, and it doesn't even sell. That's the biggest problem with the listing of the $5 items, is so often they don't sell, or they do sell, and it's not worth your time because all the effort you got to put into packaging them up to get shipped out. But that's a very small thinking mentality, thinking small, thinking limitation, thinking lack. So they're thinking, well, it's free, but free is not the only variable. Actually, free is a very limited variable, because does it have value? That should be the real variable into whether you're buying an item or not. One, does it have value? Because if it doesn't have value, it doesn't matter how quickly it sells or anything like that. It's not worth wasting your time with. But if it does have value, then you ask, how quickly does it sell? And then from there, is this worth buying? I'd much rather invest money into items that are going to sell for more than get a bunch of free stuff that's not going to sell very quickly and is going to sell for very low amounts of money. Listing goals can be another thing that people think very small and they don't think big about. And you should be thinking big about, which is, how many items are you going to list today? So many people are not consistent in their listing each and every day, and they wonder why they don't get sales regularly. Well, you don't list regularly. You're not a consistent seller. And eBay and all these platforms see that, and they say, this person is not in the top tier of our best sellers because they fail in some of these little metrics here and there. They're not consistent in listing. They're not consistent in responding to customers' questions and concerns. These are not people we want to push their items in front of other people who are better sellers. We just want to keep them down here. They'll get a few sales here and there only for items that there's not another better seller with that item. Because that's what small thinking does. Small thinking gets you to perform small, gets you to perform in a poor manner, not the big, successful manner you should be performing in, and you get bad results. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it cycles around because you'll just keep producing the same lack and limitation, the same bad results, because you're thinking so small and you're not performing at your highest level. Thinking small causes the effort to be less. It causes people to do less, and it causes people to become less and to have less. You need to think big in your reselling business. You need to think massive. Now, don't make a mistake and think, well, that means I need to go buy a truckload of stuff, because you can get a truckload of garbage. Many people do. I see people all the time that go through that exact issue because they don't know what they're doing. My point is not to go from listing one item a day to listing 100 a day, because you won't be able to keep up with that. But if you're listing one item a day, why can't you list 10? I know it's a big step, that's 10x, but unless you're taking a long time listing one single item, I've known people who took an hour to list an item. Why? I get if you're brand new, but at some point, why are you not examining what you're doing? I have periodically throughout my reselling history have examined, how do I list an item? How am I taking pictures for the item? What pictures am I taking? Can I cut some of them out that are not needed and I'm just taking and it's wasting time? Am I taking my pictures in such a way that I need to crop them and that's wasting time? For example, are you taking pictures in a square 1:1 ratio, or are you doing 16:9 and now you got to cut and crop out the images because you got this extra width of the picture that has stuff you don't need in the actual picture? You need to examine and think bigger about your listing, about your picture taking, about every aspect of your business. How can I do this better and perform better and get more done in the same amount of time and list higher quality items in the same amount of time? But all this stems from what you are thinking. Are you thinking big, or are you thinking small? Are you thinking lack and limitation, or are you thinking abundance? And it's simply up to you and your thought process. Many people are going to be stuck in their hobby mentality, in their amateur mentality with regard to their reselling business. But that's not you, my friend. You wouldn't be watching this video if that was you. If you just say, well, I'm just happy making a few $100s a month or a few $1,000s a month. No, it doesn't mean you're discontented. It means you know there's a better way. You know you can get better and better each and every day, and you're going to become a great success because you're going to think bigger. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.